Glorious devotees, thank you for coming to another presentation on Sri Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakur's Sri Madhurya Kadambini, the Monsoon Clouds of Sweetness. This presentation will continue with further considerations on Anarthas. Sri Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakur addresses doubts regarding the offense of committing sins on the strength of chanting. Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, "My dear Uddhava, Bhakti has such a wonderful effect that once one begins practicing it, free from material desire, it can never be even slightly lost or destroyed. This is because it was established by me, who am beyond the material nature." Elsewhere it is said, simply chanting the 10-syllable mantra gives all perfection. These verses speak to the glory of the chanting of the holy name as a devotional activity. One could ask if negligence in the performance of such chanting is a nam-aparad. The answer is no. In the verse, one who commits sins on the strength of the holy name, the word papa buddhi means the intentional committing of sins. Acts that are condemned by the scriptures and require atonement are known as sins. On the karma-kanda path, imperfect performance of karma is condemned. It is important that we see the subtle distinction between material sin and shortcoming in one's devotional practice. But on the devotional path, the imperfect performance of any devotional activity is neither condemned nor considered to be an offense. Bhakti, or Bhagavat Dharma, versus religious ritual. The path of religious ritual must be flawlessly performed from beginning to end for attainment of the desired result. Otherwise, the entire endeavor is fruitless. This is not the case with bhakti, which never becomes fruitless even though improperly or incompletely performed. Bhakti is transcendental, and as such, can never be destroyed. It is like gold lying within a heap of garbage. In due course of time, the waste all around decomposes, but the gold remains. Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakur is taking great care to point out that there is a great distinction between material and spiritual activity. Material activity is conducted under the modes of the Lord's external energy, whereas transcendental actions performed in devotional service fall under the protection of the Lord's internal Swarup Shakti. So the proper understanding of the offense of committing sin on the strength of chanting. One may ask, is one committing sin on the strength of chanting if there is interruption or incompleteness in devotional practice? The answer is no. It is not a nam-aparad, for the offense in question refers to the intentional or conscious committing of sin. The chanting of the mantra is done with a desire to attain the Lord. Therefore, there is neither condemnation nor any prescribed atonement for the inadequate performance of devotional acts. Speaking to the glorious nature of bhakti, with the slightest fault on the path of karma, in the ingredients, mantra, time, or performance of a sacrifice, it all becomes spoiled, and one fails to get the desired result. Such problems are not encountered on the bhakti path, for bhakti is self-manifest, all-pervading, and complete, Therefore, there is no possibility of any evil effect resulting from improper performance. If somehow someone cannot complete devotional practices, then by Bhakti's mercy, they are automatically compensated for, and Bhakti will award the result of even their incomplete performance. Neither condemnation nor atonement for such failure is prescribed anywhere, either in the scriptures or in the oral tradition. Viswanath continues with evidence. Aparads are not always a consideration. Kavi instructs Maharaj Nimi. O king, the Lord himself has given the means whereby even those without complete knowledge can easily come to know the self. These various means are known as Bhagavat Dharma. Anyone who takes up this process will never be bewildered. Even if he should run with his eyes closed, he shall neither slip nor fall. In this verse, the word nimilya, having closed his eyes, means that even though the practitioner is not blind, he has deliberately shut his eyes. Over and above that, he is running, which means that he is skipping over portions of the path he is following. In spite of this, however, he neither stumbles nor falls. From this literal interpretation of the verse, we can gather that someone who has taken shelter of the Bhagavat Dharma path itself may well skip over some elements of its practice as though ignorant of them, but even so will neither encounter obstacles nor be deprived of the result. The closing of the eyes in this case cannot be explained as ignorance of the Shruti or Smriti, because that would contradict the primary intention of the verse. What's being said here is that the devotee in his enthusiasm to attain the Lord may engage in parts of the practice of devotional service and neglect others, but his neglect is not an intentional neglect that overrides his appreciation and following of the Shruti and the Smriti. On the other hand, the words running with the eyes closed cannot mean that deliberate neglect of the 32 kinds of seva aparads, since the two verses clearly state that this is about taking up the process spoken by the Lord himself. And these include the prohibitions as stated in verses such as, it is offensive to enter the temple of the Lord riding on a vehicle or wearing shoes, or one who commits offense to the Lord is but a two-legged animal. The cause of our offenses to the holy name, whether committed long ago or recently, may be imperfectly understood, but their presence can nevertheless be inferred by their effects. Even so, they can still be gradually nullified by developing a full commitment to devotion through constant chanting of the holy name. Once again, special considerations must be taken if one commits the offenses deliberately. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami, there are many devotees who execute only one of the 9 processes of devotional service. Nonetheless, they get ultimate success. Devotees like Maharaj Ambarish execute all 9 items, and they also get ultimate success. Here we will begin to see that there is a distinction between world religions and that of the path of Bhagavat Dharma. Other religions have been enunciated by different prophets and sages, but only the Lord can reveal the devotional path, or Bhagavat Dharma, for it arises from his essential being. O Uddhava, at the beginning of the creation I taught Brahma the Vedic scriptures that describe my devotion, which is non-different from me, and which in the course of time had been lost in the flood of universal destruction. Namaparāds can be neutralized. If someone accidentally commits a namaparād, then he should constantly chant the holy name, taking sole shelter of it. The holy name destroys the sins of even those who commit namaparād. Constant chanting of the holy name is always beneficial. On the other hand, if someone intentionally commits offenses, the consequences are much more serious. We come now to a review of the 10 offenses of the holy name. This review will be based on various statements presented by Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Ṭhakura in his Sahartha Darsini commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam's 6th canto, 2nd chapter. The verses that he's commenting on there are verses 9 and 10, and his commentary is quite extensive. The verse reads as follows, and then we will go through the 10 offenses to the holy name. The chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a brahmana, or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. It is also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king of his father, or for one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. So we were familiar with the 10 offenses, the namaparāds, as they are presented in the Padma Purana, and let us go over them one by one. The first is to blaspheme devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name. Sadhu Ninda, or blaspheming Vaishnavas, is the first of the 10 namaparād. How would the Lord who is manifest in the holy name ever tolerate such blasphemous activity? One should free oneself from the slightest tendency to criticize those sadhus who have taken sole shelter of the holy name. One should rather associate with them and engage in Nam Sankirtan in their company. The holy name will then quickly bestow its grace. The second of the offenses, Vishwanath gives 2 explanations of this in his Bhagavat commentary. If one considers Shiva to be an independent Lord with his own specific energies, then a confusion arises about the nature of God, which hampers one's exclusive devotion to Sri Hari. One should therefore understand that Krishna is the Lord of all lords. Shiva and others are lords due to being empowered by the energy of Krishna, but have no independent powers. One who chants the holy name with this understanding commits no offense. His second explanation, the Lord's name, form, and personality, all 3 are one and the same. There is no difference between them, since all of them are eternal and blissful. Krishna's name, qualities, and pastimes are all the same as Krishna's personality, eternal and blissful. Third offense, disrespecting the spiritual master. The third offense at the lotus feet of the holy name, which is called Gurur Avajna, is to consider the spiritual master to be material and therefore to envy his exalted position. Considering the guru to be an ordinary being is a grave offense. Not practicing devotion according to the guru's instructions or chanting the mantras given by the guru are also aspects of this offense, since these are also signs of disrespect. Sri Visvanatha himself writes in his Sri Gurvastikam, by the mercy of the spiritual master one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. I should offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. The fourth offense, Shruti Shastra Nindanam, is to blaspheme Vedic literatures, such as the 4 Vedas and the Puranas. The Vedic literatures are apurashaya, not the product of any human being. Rather, it is revealed by the Lord himself. Sages have established that the Shrutis are the best of all authorities, and that all other Shastras receive their authority from them. The purport of the Vedas is made clear in the Itihasas and Puranas. The fifth offense, Artharvada, is to consider the glories of the holy name given in Shastra as exaggeration and simply meant to encourage ordinary persons to chant. Similarly, the sixth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord to be imaginary. Such a mentality parallels that of the Mayavadis, who think that the Supreme Lord has no name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. Vishwanath makes a very firm statement in his Sarartha Darsani commentary. Among the 10 offenses, the very strong effects of interpreting the holy name, thinking its glories are an exaggeration, and equating it with pious acts are obstacles to being a Vaishnava. Thus we can see the seriousness of these offenses. The seventh offense is commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. To think that since the Hare Krishna mantra can counteract all sinful reactions, one may therefore go on with his sinful activities and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna mantra to neutralize them is a great offense at the lotus feet of Hari Nam. Committing sins on the strength of chanting turns ordinary sins into terrible Nam aparads. Again, we go to Vishwanath's commentary. Among the offenses, 2 are very strong: offending the devotees and committing sin on the strength of chanting. These 2 are particularly described in a frightening way. There is no other means of destroying the effects of these 2 offenses than to continually chant the name while suffering appropriately for the offense. The 8th, it is offensive to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra to be a religious ritualistic ceremony. Performing religious ceremonies, following vows, and practicing renunciation and sacrifice are all materialistic, auspicious activities, while the holy name is transcendental, the personality of the Lord himself. The holy name is Upeya, the supreme goal, and at the same time Upaya, the process to attain perfection. Again, we are reminded of the 3 very strong offenses that are actually obstacles to being a Vaishnava. Interpreting the holy name, thinking the glories of the holy name to be an exaggeration, and equating pious activities, as just discussed in this 8th offense, with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The 9th, it is an offense to preach the glories of the holy name among persons who have no intelligence or no faith in the subject matter. Such persons should be given the chance to hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, but in the beginning they should not be instructed about the glories of the spiritual significance of the holy name. Which brings us to the 10th and final offense. If one has heard the glories of the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but nevertheless continues in a materialistic conception of life, thinking, I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine, aham mameti, and does not show respect and love for the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is an offense. Glorious devotees, I want to thank you so much for viewing this presentation on Visvanatha Cakravarti's Sri Madhurya Kadambini. I hope it has nourished your spiritual understanding. Hare Krishna.